So, I made a video about how we should all play our gaming backlogs, and I still definitely stand by my point on that video. So many of us have these huge backlogs that are full of some games that could be some of our favourite games of all time. Yes, that includes me. My backlog is massive, so I thought it'd be a good idea to make a series out of me playing games in my backlog. It also gives me an excuse to play these games because I'm always way too focused on making videos. So why not combine the two? I am a bloody genius. So here we are, fellas. Welcome to conquering my game backlog. Let's begin. After a long wait, Crash 4 was finally put on Steam. If you didn't know, it was originally on this garbage launcher, so obviously I held off going near the game until it was put on something actually respectable. And as someone who didn't fully understand or enjoy the original Crash Trilogy when I played it a few years ago on the Insane Trilogy, I gotta say that I've had a lot of fun playing Crash Bandicoot 4. And that's because I'm not trying to 100% it. I did try and 100% some of the levels at the start of the game, but it just turned it into a massive slog. So I gave that up and just decided to beeline through the levels and just enjoy it. I mean, I guess sometimes I did still push myself to 100% some of the levels because that's how you get a lot of the skins in the game. And I wanted this neon skin because I like neon stuff. It also pleases my monkey brain. Now, Crash Bandicoot 4 is still definitely a challenge, even when you're just getting through the levels without much of a care about the boxes and collectibles. But it's not an infuriating challenge. It's like a nice challenge. The one where it's not the hardest thing you've ever done, but you still feel good for overcoming the obstacles. Crash 4 is visually outstanding too, but I've noticed this cartoony style is beginning to fall into a trend for other platformers too. It isn't really an issue though, because it looks outstanding. It's gonna age like fine wine, and it's infinitely better than going for a boring ass realistic graphic style. So yeah, Crash 4 is a great time, and I enjoyed playing it despite not being the biggest fan of the original Crash Bandicoot games. I'm never gonna come back to it though to 100% it, because I have seen Crysis' video on doing that, and I don't hate myself enough to put myself through that pain. Another Yakuza game down. This time, it was Yakuza 5. I'm slowly getting through this massive ass series. I'm actually already halfway through Yakuza 6 as of making this backlog video, so expect to see that one in the next episode. But enough about Yakuza 6, I should probably talk about 5 since that's the one I finished. And yeah, Yakuza 5 is a good game. Hopping into the game for the first time right after beating Yakuza 4 was amazing because it was such a huge jump in quality. However, I do feel like the game blows its load a little too early. In Yakuza 5, you play as 5 different characters. Yeah, fucking 5. It's a huge game, and the first character you play as is the man himself, Kazuma Kiryu. And he is absolutely pissed in this game and just so sick of absolutely everything going on around him. The game starts off so engaging, and then you finish Kiryu's section and it just kind of shits the bed. Now, this isn't me saying it's a shit show for the rest of the game, because it's definitely not. It just peaks far too early, making the rest of the game feel like a bit of a slog, because none of the other characters are as good as Kiryu in my opinion. I am really glad that they stopped doing the whole more than 3 playable characters after this game, because it kinda sucks starting from square one after every 4 chapters. Yakuza 5 is still a good game though, it just goes on for far too long, and I don't think I can see myself ever returning to it in the future. At the end of the day though, it's still a Yakuza game, so it's still worth absolutely every second of your time. If you haven't started the Yakuza series yet, what are you doing, man? Play that shit already. After this video, of course, don't go anywhere just yet. You gotta see the other games I finished in my backlog. This is very important. Yep, this is something new for this series. I completed a whopping 3 games in a trilogy rather than just 1. And that's mainly because the Crysis games are pretty short. Like, really short. You all know the silly little meme about whether or not your PC can run Crysis because of how visually demanding it used to be? I mean, look at it. I know it's the remastered version, but it's hard to believe that this game came out in 2008. Like I said, I know it's the remastered version that I'm showing here, but it's not like that it's visually enhanced that much anyway. anyway. Like, what could they really do to quote-unquote remaster this game? They even acknowledged the meme in an achievement for the second game. Well, unfortunately, my PC could run Crysis, which is an issue because it meant I could experience the game, and let me tell you, it was boring. Crysis 1 is basically Far Cry. It's a somewhat open world game in a tropical setting. I mean, this comparison makes sense because Crytek were the original developers for the original Far Cry. In Crysis, you play as this super soldier guy with cloaking and shielding abilities, and because it's one of those choose your way to tackle situations type of game, either using combat or stealth, it means no combat section is really thought out, and they're all just kinda dull. Well, apart from the set piece sections, but they all boil down to the same shit as well, unfortunately. I just didn't really have a good time with the first Crysis. I did end up having a better time with Crysis 2 though. Rather than it feeling like a game trying to be something else, Crysis 2 felt like the series had finally found out what it was trying to be. It's a far more linear experience with a lot of the same mechanics, but I mean, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's a bit longer than the original Crysis 2, despite it being far more linear, but it felt like they started to run out of steam a bit near the end, and it just becomes a bit of a slog, unfortunately. It's still an absolute looker though. I mean, just look at it. They somehow managed to get this to run on a PS3, by the way. And then finally, there's Crysis 3. It's literally just both of the games combined, and now there's a bow weapon. I don't really have much else to say about that one. So in my last episode of this silly Backlog series, you may have remembered that I played Uncharted 4. I played it on the PC version, which also came with this Uncharted game. And you know what? I may actually prefer this one to Uncharted 4, but only by a little bit. Like, it's so close that depending on how I'm feeling on a certain day, my favorite one out of these two will probably change. Anyway, I'm gonna talk about Lost Legacy now. It's fucking awesome. Now, I went in with pretty low expectations because Lost Legacy has you playing as Chloe Fraser rather than the beautiful, charismatic hunk of a man, Nathan Drake. But damn, Chloe is a really awesome character. I know it's not because she's British. Now don't get me wrong, I still prefer Nathan Drake, but Chloe is still a brilliant character in cutscenes and with her dialogue during gameplay. I love her relationship with Nadine, who was actually a villain in Uncharted 4. Ooh, what a twist. The general gameplay loop is very similar to Uncharted 4. It's very obvious this was a lower budget spin-off style game where they could get away with experimenting a bit more, like with the little open world section near the beginning of the game. Now, I hate open worlds, but I loved exploring this area because it wasn't an empty, barren wasteland that was huge for absolutely little to no reason like most open worlds. Around almost every corner there was something to find, something for Chloe to comment on, and all sorts of collectibles. The rest of the game does follow the same Uncharted formula with its bombastic set pieces, but this section was a massive breath of fresh air. It made you feel like an actual adventurer without having your hand held and being told what you're allowed to do on your adventure by the developers. You truly are just set free into this place with a vehicle to do whatever. There's no mini-map, there's no markers you have to follow, you just need to look around the environment and take it all in. It's genuinely such good shit. I had an incredibly good time with Uncharted Lost Legacy, but I almost dropped the game entirely because of this one puzzle. Fuck this puzzle. I hate it. I genuinely hate this shit. Well fellas, you all know the drill. Go into your own backlog and push yourself to play some of the games festering in there. And let me know down in the comments what games you've been playing or completed recently. We can all conquer our gaming backlogs together, one step at a time.